Hey, Luke with Popcorn Recap here. Today we'll be recapping a Korean Netflix TV show called All of Us Are Dead, episodes 1 and 2. The first episode begins on a rooftop where a group of students is bullying another named Jin-soo. Jin-soo's head gets smashed in. The bullies are unaware that this results in him turning into a raging zombie. Jin-soo charges at Jui-nam, but Jui-nam dodges and pushes Jin-soo off the building. Later, at the hospital, Jin-soo's father sneaks inside his room. Jin-soo wants revenge on the bullies. He becomes uncontrollable and tries to bite his father. His father then grabs a Bible and beats him with it, then carries him out of the hospital using a travel bag. Later, in a high school science laboratory, Yeonju wakes up alone after her classmates leave her. She's about to leave when she hears a noise inside the supply room. Checking inside, she sees a cute little mouse inside a glass box. She pokes her finger in a hole, but it bites her. This is why you shouldn't put your appendages in holes. Jin-soo's father, Mr. Lee, who turns out to be a science teacher, arrives on the scene. Yeonju tries to leave the room, but Mr. Lee grabs her back and a loud banging is heard. Later, Chong-san and Jong-soo bump into Onyo and Isak, their friends and classmates. Onyo tells Chong-san that his mother invited them to taste the chicken she'll serve in their restaurant before the grand opening. Then we cut to the restaurant where Chong-san's mother serves them KFC. Onyo tells the mom that her chicken is too salty. Rude. When Chong-san's mother leaves, the four talk about Mr. Lee's weird behavior lately, like leaving class in a rush. After eating, Onyo tries to flirt with Chong-san but fails. Back at Yosan High School, we see Yeonju tied up with her mouth taped inside the supply room. The next day, Onjo and her father are talking about her poor grades when Chong-san rings the doorbell. Onjo and Chong-san go to school together. Later, their classmate Nae-yeon calls Namrae their class president, but she ignores her. Meanwhile, an ex-bully named Soo-deok sees the group of bullies enter the construction site. Inside, they're questioning the students named Chul-soo and Junji on why they tattled on him about Jin-soo's disappearance. Then, Jui-nam rips the uniform of Yoonji and orders Chul-soo to film her. Soo-deok shows up and tells them to stop. Now, preferences aside, I think Soo-deok is just very pretty overall. Junji cannot leave when Jui-nam threatens to send her video to her mother. Afterward, Onjo sees Soo-deok and asks him to come to the rooftop after lunch. In class, Miss Park arrives and collects their phones. She asks about Yeonju, but no one has any idea, except for a guy who says he saw her in the science lab while they were cleaning. Knowing this, she immediately asks Mr. Lee about Yeonju, but he denies having seen her. When Miss Park is gone, Mr. Lee goes back inside and records himself, discussing Yeonju's health situation. Afterward, he injects Yeonju with a strange shot. Even later, we see Mr. Lee teaching about the nature of viruses. Some viruses' will to survive is more complex than others seem. But Jui-nam is not listening and starts writing on Yoonji's uniform. Mr. Lee notices them, but he just continues his lecture. Then we see Yeonju get out of her ties as she turns into a frenzied zombie. Back in Miss Park's class, Hee-soo asks permission to go to the restroom. Yeonju suddenly enters the room. Miss Park quickly attends to her and asks what happened. Yeonju tells Miss Park what Mr. Lee did to her. They bring her to the infirmary, and Soo-deok volunteers to carry her while Onyo and Isak accompany them. Notice how Yeonju wants to bite him, but doesn't. In the infirmary, Hee-soo asks for help from the nurse, but Miss Park and others arrive. Seeing Yeonju's situation, the nurse prioritizes her. Hee-soo looks pregnant and leaves school altogether. Back in class, everyone is gossiping about Yeonju and how she bullied Jin-soo. When Isak comes back, everyone gathers around her to ask questions. She says that Yeonju tried biting them and Onjo got hurt when she tried to evade her bite. Chong-san quickly leaves the room and goes to the infirmary, but finds nobody there. Then we see Yeonju being taken inside the ambulance while Onjo's father, who's a firefighter and EMT, treats her wound. Miss Park then thanks Onjo and Soo-deok for their help and tells them to go back to the room. On their way back, Soo-deok asks Onjo what she wants to tell him on the rooftop. Onjo then gives him her name tag, which means she wants to go out with him. Soo-deok is confused because he thought Chong-san and Onjo were dating, which she denies. Just in time, Jong-sun arrives and Onjo walks out. Soo-hyuk asks him if he and Onjo are a thing, which he denies as well. Back in the supply room, Mr. Lee finds out that Yeonju is already gone. Miss Park, along with another teacher, arrives and takes him to the principal's office. There, Mr. Lee insists that they need to quarantine Yeonju, but the principal scolds all of them for calling the police. Mr. Lee is about to leave when the police arrive and arrest him. Going back to the infirmary, the nurse is revealed to have been bitten by Jeonju. Then, in the cafeteria, Onjo tells Isak that she confessed to Soo-hyuk. Later on, Soo-hyuk approaches Namrae and he makes her smile, which she quickly erases off her face. Meanwhile, the leader of the bullies and his friend pass by the infirmary and see the nurse acting weird. When she sees them, she quickly attacks them. After seeing that the nurse rips the skin off his friend's face, he attacks her. Getting her attention, she chases after him as the other students run. The bully's friend quickly turns into a zombie and starts attacking other students. Meanwhile, Yoonji is about to jump off the rooftop when Chul-soo stops her. Then, she sees students suddenly jumping out of the windows and biting other students. Meanwhile, Namrae didn't notice the commotion because she was reading. A zombie is about to get her when Soo-hyuk shows up and drags her away. Back in the cafeteria, Onjo asks Chung-san to help her with Soo-hyuk. Declining her request, Onjo walks out on him, but she's surprised to see a horde of students running toward the cafeteria. A student then bumps into her, causing her to fall. She sees a zombie attack another student. The first episode ends with a zombie charging at Onjo and starts growling in her face. The next episode begins with students filming their classmates when they see other students running their direction. They quickly run away, but their friend with a street cone on his leg is left behind. Then we see the principal assuring the one he's talking to the other line that everything is fine in their school. After the call, he scolds the teachers again and insists on solving the matters internally, but Miss Park argues with him and emphasizes that they need to get the students to safety, but he just shuts her out. Miss Park decides to go to the broadcasting room when she sees the student with a street cone, who is now a zombie, attack another faculty member. Back in the cafeteria, Chung-san quickly saves Onjo and they escape through the window. Meanwhile, Jui-nam, who's also in the cafeteria, fights off the zombies. One manages to get on top of him, and he kills it, but its blood goes inside his mouth. He hides in the kitchen afterward. Outside, Chung-san and Onju use a truck to climb to the second floor and make their way to their classroom. Meanwhile, Soo-hyuk and Namrae are still looking for a safe place when they witness the death of the school gardener. Chung-san and Onjo manage to reach their classroom, but Nae-jeon doesn't want to let them in. Jong-soo still opens the door and lets his friends in. Dae-soo, another classmate, arrives shortly. They mention Train to Busan is happening in their school. Soo-hyuk and Namrae show up in the window using the gardener's ladder. Meanwhile, the ambulance just arrives at the hospital, and Mr. Lee is being questioned in the precinct. The police have an idea that Jin-soo never went missing and accuse Mr. Lee of killing his own son. In a flashback, Mr. Lee is recording himself. He experimented on the aggression of the mouse. He wants to turn people's rage into bravery to fight. He injected his son with the experimental shot, but it doesn't go as planned. Mr. Lee was only able to delay the infection, but not entirely eliminate it. Back to the present, Yeonju wreaks havoc in the hospital. There's a cool back-breaking sequence. She needs a hip replacement. Meanwhile, Hee-soo, who is pregnant, is walking when her water breaks. She continues to walk when a bus suddenly appears, almost hitting her. On the bus, the coach of the archery team uses a senior student named Haeri as an example of failure. Upon entering the school, they have no idea what is happening. Back in the classroom, the students are able to find a smartphone, but it's locked. Kyung-san sees the owner of the phone outside, who is now a zombie, and tries to use face unlock, but fails. Onjo tells him that they don't need to unlock the phone to contact emergency services. Kyung-san then calls the police and tells them their situation, but they don't believe him. But after receiving multiple reports about zombies, a police orders another officer to check on them. Onjo later calls the fire department to reconnect with her father, but fails. She then tells them that there's a fire in their classroom and that they need rescue. Time passes and the police aren't arriving yet, and Nae-jeon starts throwing tantrums, causing an argument in the class. Mr. Kang, a PE teacher, suddenly enters the room and tells them to barricade the door, but they later find out that he was bitten. After a heated argument, Mr. Kang turns and attacks Minji. Dae-soo throws him off, but he quickly gets up and attacks the others. Nayeon starts unstacking the tables and they all manage to get out of the room. They run through the corridor. Soo-hyuk fights the zombie off and the boys help him afterward. Pushing the zombies using a door and windows, they manage to go to the science lab by breaking the padlock using a nozzle of a hose. But Soo-hyuk was left behind, fighting the zombies. Unfortunately, during the struggle with the zombies, Dae-soo accidentally breaks the window, allowing a zombie to grab him. His classmates quickly help him, but they break another window. They quickly use the desk and chairs to barricade the broken windows. Meanwhile, Nayeon is irritated when she finds out that Onjo dropped the phone outside. Her tantrums lead to an argument with her and Jong-soo again. Afterward, Onjo notices that Soo-hyuk is missing and asks Chung-san about him, but he doesn't know. Meanwhile, in the girls' restroom, a student named Minji notices that one of the students in the next cubicle is turning. She then stabs it in the mouth when she fully turns. But the zombie's stronger and is able to push Minji and the other guy when an arrow suddenly hits the zombie. Then, everyone in the school hears the broadcast of Miss Park reminding them to call for emergency services and hide for safety. She then breaks down. Back at the science lab, while Isak is comforting Onjo about Soo-hyuk, she notices that her hand is cold. Suddenly, Isak's nose bleeds and everyone is alerted. Chung-san then pulls Onjo away from her. Nayeon then freaks out again and starts screaming, attracting zombies outside. Afterward, Isak turns and attacks them. Chung-san fights her off, but when Onjo calls them, she attracts Isak and she attacks. Chung-san quickly tackles Isak out of the window, but Onjo holds on to her best friend. Remembering their times together, she cannot let go. Nayeon then kicks the chair to Chung-san, and he uses it to hit Isak's arm until she lets go and falls. Meanwhile, Soo-hyuk is hiding from the zombies when he sees a window, thinking about his escape. Going back to the science laboratory, Chung-san assesses the room and realizes that they will not last long and that they need to leave. He then uses a mannequin arm to get the hose outside, then ties it so that they can step on it. He thinks of going first, but when he looks at Onjo, he decides to let Jong-soo go first. While going down, the nozzle bumps to the window of the broadcasting room where Miss Park is. She then helps Jong-soo get into the room. Nayeon goes next, followed by the others. Before leaving, Namrae leaves a note to Soo-hyuk telling him where he can find them. Then we see Hoo-hyuk successfully going out of the window, but clings to his life on a tiny space for his feet to step on. Back in the science lab, it's just Chung-san and Onjo, but she doesn't want to go, still mourning the loss of Isak. Chung-san then reminds her that she needs to live for the people that love her. Onjo finally goes down, but the zombies are starting to enter the room. Just in time, when Onjo joins the others, Chung-san has no more time to get down as zombies come running towards him. The second episode ends with Chung-san jumping off the window as the others watch the zombies fall from above. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and of course comment down below if you're interested in the rest of the episodes. Until next time.
Subscribe for more videos like this. Turn on notifications and leave a like. It really helps the channel.